What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Food Forest Experiments. Today I'm going to be testing two different rooting media, 50-50 peat-perlite mix versus a Coast of Maine seed starting mix. And I wanted to see how it would compare against my 50-50 peat-perlite, which is what I usually use and usually works pretty well for me. So here's the Coast of Maine mix. This is what it looks like. This is the texture of it. It's got some perlite mixed in. It's got some composted material. That's what it looks like. I did 25 cells of each, so that's a 50 cell tray there, and 25 each. Here's me writing with a grease pen which side is which. I'm going to take you guys through the process of taking these cuttings so you can see what it looks like, the method that I used, and at the end we'll have some results for how well these ended up rooting. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and I think you guys will too. This is me taking the cuttings in the greenhouse. This variety is called Northrop. It's a great mulberry variety that's super hardy and grows really vigorously for me. Got a big bundle of cuttings to take, and I'm going to stick them. Now, I took these cuttings in early July. I think it was July 5th or so. I've had good luck with this timing. Each species has a totally different timing that you have to just learn. And I've had good results with softwood cuttings of mulberry. I also do hardwood cuttings, and I also graft them. It all works. They're all different. You just got to know how to do it. And I hope this can kind of show you how I do things, and it might inform the way that you do it if you want to try this. I do use some rooting hormone. As you can see here, that's me dipping them into rooting hormone, and this is me sticking them in. You can't, I'm kind of blocking myself, so you can't really see how I do it, but it's important that you press them firmly in, um, and give them a little mist. This is what the rooting hormone looks like. I use something called Dip and Grow. It's a liquid concentrate that you can dilute to different dilutions. This is me trying to do it one-handed as I'm filming, which makes it look like I don't know what I'm doing. But that's okay. And I use a 20-time dilution, which comes out to 500 parts per million IBA and 250 parts per million NAA. Yeah, those are the chemicals that are used. And it's a pretty low concentration, but it works well for this. And this is the misting bed. You can see I've got some other plants already in there, other mulberries, some non-king cherries, some bush cherries, stuff like that. And that's where it goes. And it'll get misted regularly for 6 weeks. This is it, 6 weeks later. I just pulled it out of the misting bed. And bada bing, bada boom. You can kind of see one half is quite different than the other. Visually, you can already kind of tell what's going on here. I think it's a pretty clear conclusion to be made that the Coast of Maine is not as good, not nearly as good. These are what the cuttings look like from the Coast of Maine side. There were two of them that had rooted well enough that I could pull the whole cell out in a chunk, and two that were very slightly rooted. You can see some tiny little roots just starting to come out, and the rest did not root. One really quick, interesting thing I wanted to note is that I often have slugs attacking mulberries in the misting chamber, and it's clear, you can see from the leaves, that they attacked the Coast of Maine side much more than the 50-50 mix. I thought was very interesting. And this is the 50-50 mix side. Clearly much better. You can see many more roots, and these are ready to transplant. That's really what I like to see. And these are a few had, some tiny roots that just didn't hold the soil together, and then a couple didn't root. So if we take a look at the numbers, we'll see that 20 were well rooted for the 50-50 mix, and only 2 of the Coast of Maine were well rooted. So 80% versus 8%. 80% is great for my purposes, 8 is not good enough. So my theory about why these results came out like this is simply the texture of the soil, the drainage, and the airspace created by the perlite is much superior to the Coast of Maine, and that's actually more important than any kind of nutrient amount in the soil mix. So I'm not going to be using the Coast of Maine. I'm going to stick with my 50-50 peat-perlite. These get transplanted out into my high tunnel next to my tomatoes, and they'll overwinter here and probably lose a few over the winter. Usually happens, but I'll have lots of these Northrop mulberries to offer next year. They grow really fast in the greenhouse, and they're on their own roots, which is pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was informative for your own propagation and food forest planting journey. And I've got lots of other experiments planned, so stay tuned. Thanks.